So I lived under apartheid. I went through the Bantu education. And I think the biggest problem I think South Africa is that a lot of people that come to South Africa, they don't understand that they are coming into a country of people who have been traumatized and wounded. And I remember I grew up in Limpopo. Zimbabweans have always been our cousins. You know, we've always known that. And we've always had a very good relationship with Zimbabwe. That's why even in the beginning, when things started going south in Zimbabwe, we were the ones who actually opened up our doors for you guys to come in. So what's then happening is that when Zimbabweans comes into South Africa, they're just seeing an opportunity, but they don't understand that we used to look up to you guys as in some way like a big brother. You got your independence first. I remember also after high school, my first choice was actually to go and study in Zimbabwe because that's how much we love Zimbabwe. Even growing up, the music we listen to was Zimbabwean music. The Four Brothers and all those guys. So what's happened that when people come in here and they don't understand that, guys, our brothers and sisters here, they are wounded. They've been through oppression. They've been through slavery. And then you come here, you know that our education was not good. So intentionally, we were miseducated. So when you guys come here and then you say, oh, we are educated. So what are you saying to me? What are you saying to a wounded soul? And how do you expect South Africans to react? I think what needs to happen, I think the biggest pain point for me personally, is that I grew up looking up to Zimbabwe, and to really see a country, the people that I used to look up to, people that I used to like, even when we're going through apartheid, I know that one day we will be like the people across the river. And to really see Zimbabweans now, where they are now, where they are wounded, where they are now fighting for scraps, for me, it's a very painful thing. And I think as South Africans and Zimbabweans, we must stop pointing fingers at each other and throwing mud at each other. We need to say, guys, how do we find a solution? Because no matter how strong South Africa is, South Africa cannot be strong in a weak region. And I think for the region to be stronger, we need Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is key to this region developing. We know Botswana might be doing well and Namibia, but Zimbabwe is a strong country. It's a country with highly educated people. We need Zimbabwe to grow the region. And I think we must really stop throwing mud at each other and say, guys, we know we are having problems. Yes, illegal immigration is creating problems. It's overburdening our health system. At the moment, South Africans are not even getting good health system because we have welcomed and accommodated Zimbabweans. And, as painful as it is, but we love you guys because we are family to start with. For me, when I go back like 3 generations back, I found that some of my great parents were actually Zimbabweans. So I think we must just find a way to say, guys, we have problems. How do we resolve problems? Because this thing of throwing mud at each other is really not going to get us anywhere. Because for South Africa to be strong and successful, we need the region.
Thank you.
That's my point.
Okay, thank you. Slogs?
Yes, I hope, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So I'm trying to correct my sister Princess on the comment she made. The thing about forcing ideologies in issues that require practical solutions is that you go.
Oh, can I say something else? Maybe I said, okay, nobody's saying anything. Can I jump in here, Ziggy?
Okay.
Okay, I mean, on the issue of xenophobia and all those kind of things, I mean, people can paint it as much as whoever they want, but in reality, South Africans are not xenophobic. If we were xenophobic, we would have done what some people did in Europe when they had migrants from Syria going to Europe. If we were really xenophobic, we would have formed a human chain in Limpopo there to prevent Zimbabweans from coming in. But we didn't do that. I remember also for me, in Venda, where I grew up, my grandmother's house, people used to know that anybody who's coming from Zimbabwe, they used to come and stop at my grandmother's house. People who stayed there for months and months. My grandmother with a legal government pension supporting these people until they're strong enough that they can pick up and they can move up to Joburg. We welcome our homes. So for people to come back today and say, okay, just because of the unfortunate incident that have been happening where, because of criminality and all these kind of things happening, people getting killed and all those kind of things, and then they brand everybody as xenophobic. I live in Cape Town at the moment. Majority of my friends are from Zimbabwe, and we sit and we discuss these issues. The reality is, yes, there's a problem in Zimbabwe, But we need to find a way that how do we solve Zimbabweans' problems together as a region? Because I can tell you, tomorrow all the Zimbabweans can leave South Africa, but the problem that we have currently will still remain. Because the biggest problem with South Africa after independence was that we want to restore dignity to the African people. And then what's happening now is that when a Zimbabwean comes in and then gets a job and agrees to be paid minimum wage, what they're actually doing, they are reversing the gains of the struggle. And I think that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of people don't really think about. If you are supposed to be paid 20 Rand an hour and you take a job at 15 Rand per hour, you are actually reversing what we have achieved. We are reversing what we have fought for, what people died for. You know, and for us, when we say, we look and say, guys, we are not thriving. These guys are coming in here, undercutting us. And actually, it's not just about jobs. It's about you are now reversing the gains that we have gained. Because the problem that we have, which is issues of racism and everything, we're not going to defeat these things if we still have Black people who are willing to be called names. Because what has actually happened in some sectors is that they won't call South African names, but they will use the same names that they used to call us. They will use those names against Zimbabweans. That which means that actually the battle that we're fighting, we're actually not winning. We are losing. So what we are saying, we say, guys, Zimbabweans, come be partners in the battle and the struggle that we are fighting in South Africa. So that as we get liberated, it doesn't only liberate us, but it also liberate a Black child wherever they are. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Okay, thank you. So let me give back to Sloth. Sloth was about to.
All right, thank you, Simon. I understand your point, but the other point is towards Princess and other Pan-Africanists who try to hide behind the ideology of Pan-Africanism just to justify the illegal immigration into South Africa, and by saying that no African is a foreigner in Africa, but that is not the point. We cannot hide behind our identities, whether you identify as Bantu, we are all Bantu, we are connected and whatever. But that doesn't justify you coming into my land and just settling yourself in without ever getting permission from the higher ups or the people who actually own that land. Because even before the borders were constructed, each tribe, each nation, each city states that was there before colonization had their own borders and had their procedures in which a foreign resident or a foreign person who tried to enter the land must have permission from the higher ups. That has always been the rule of the day. So we cannot hide behind our identities, whether my sister Princess says we are all from the same ancestor. That doesn't mean anything, because everyone in Africa, if we use that ideology, we're from the same ancestor. But that doesn't mean we must enter into each other's spaces without having following proper procedures to do that. So that is the kind of attitude that I see among Pan-Africanists, especially who do not actually genuinely believe in their own ideologies, but they hide behind those ideologies just to push whatever they're doing in their country, especially those who are doing no good. You see, especially when they get caught. I heard one Nigerian guy in the news who was actually saying, or he wasn't saying, he was shouting at the colored people that, hey, you're not African, you're not African, you aren't supposed to be in South Africa, you cannot tell me where I should be and whatever. And he was a Nigerian shouting in the colored South African in South Africa, telling me that he doesn't belong there. So that is the toxic side of what we call the Pan-African community, is imposing your ideology into other people. So Princess, if you have to justify your point, you shouldn't hide behind ideologies or identities. We should actually. Okay. You can talk.
Can I add over what Slox has been saying? So I've got few questions to raise here. In sub-Saharan Africa, the part of where we don't include the North African countries, Gabon, Botswana, South Africa, and Namibia, these are 4 richest countries. And in fact, Botswana is doing better than South Africa in when it comes to standards of living. And even people, the professional peoples in Botswana, they tend to be paid more than South Africa on average because their population is small and they're relative to their GDP. So their GDP per capita is good. My question is this: how come if the largest migrants are flocking to South Africa? Even the Zimbabweans themselves, they've got a large border of like their fence, the fence that we neighboring Zimbabwe. We are the shortest neighbors to Zimbabwe in terms of the landmark of the border. Botswana has got the largest border around Zimbabwe, and then you've got Mozambique, which also has got relatively the large border around Zimbabwe. But they choose to go through this crocodile river, where they risk it all. I just don't understand. But we are told we are xenophobic ones. If you go to Botswana, even closer to their border, they don't play there. So my question is, are we really xenophobic, or we are being blackmailed here? We are pushed at the corner to have to accept nonsense as people. So we need to really start looking at this. South Africans are xenophobic. We need to stop using this, in fact, these Western ways, whether we don't even know the meaning of them. So does it make sense that people are, even when Botswana is doing relatively well, even Namibia, they're not going there. They still running to South Africa. I don't understand. But we are xenophobic anyway. So that's just my point.
Let me have Lloyd, then we are going to have Princess, and then we finish.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much for this opportunity again. So I just wanted to say, like, there's some awesome points that people have been making across this entire space. I can't remember all the names, but the last guy really spoke on something that also sparked something in me. There's something very interesting about knowing that when it comes to South Africans, the game that South Africans have not been playing, and if you live outside South Africa, you can pay attention to these things because you are always using currency, you're transferring money from home to from here to home and vice versa. So whenever South Africans are going at an uproar or these terms of xenophobic attacks are used, especially in the European market, the South African rand tanks. People who trade on these platforms and make money, they know these types of information. Now, can you imagine a South Africa where for a whole year there is no conflict, there's just peace? What will happen to the South African GDP? That is the conversation that people are not having. The conversation that people are not having is that just for 1 year, with all the legal migrants that are in South Africa, we've got a ton of Zimbabwean professionals who are legal in South Africa. We have no problem with them. We are friends with them. Some of them, they work in mines in Joburg. And I'm not talking the guys that go underground. I'm talking the people who work in the offices in mines. You understand? So what I want to say is this. What we need to understand is what happens to the South African rand and our economy every time there's these types of conflicts. They make good entertainment at the end of the day, and that's all it is from a person who's like myself and who look at things from a media perspective. And I'm a capitalist. So from a capitalistic mindset, this has nothing to do with xenophobia. It has everything to do with money and assets. What happened in Durban over there when all of that, I'm going to call it chaos that had happened in Durban, which was associated with President Jacob Zuma. And we're watching this from abroad. We're just thinking, yo, the property market in Durban right now is going to be so good because people want to sell their properties. They want to get out of the market. So if you are South African and you didn't have money and you have a small 200,000, you could have went and bought a house next to a building that was burnt down. It was a big house. You could have gotten that house. But we don't think economically like that in South Africans. But not all of us. I'm not going to say all South Africans, but a lot of people that fall to the rhetoric that is used by the media and all these mainstream platforms that are going on there are not shining a light on the fact that when these conflicts do happen in our country, it has everything to do with money. Don't put that aside. Thank you. Thank you for this, for the platform. I would have really liked for you to go on longer, but I saw you already went on for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
but the content is amazing.
See you again next Saturday. Let me have this Princess to say something.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what I just wanted to say was, okay, this is a very interesting topic. Yes, we don't deny that there are so many immigrants whose status is not legal. And not only from Zimbabwe, but several African countries, and even from the rest of the world. It's funny how most South Africans concentrate. It's funny how most South Africans concentrate on the black nationals only. If you were to really look at it, there are also so many white people who are not legal here in South Africa. But we can just blame that on how we were mentally negatively affected by the colonizers, to an extent that we are quick to blame the other black person. We really don't look across other races. We don't really look at that at all. We are so quick to blame the other black person. And then the other thing is, okay, I wanted to say that yes, I know there are people without passports, there are people with what, and that is just disrespectful, obviously, to another country. But if we go deeper and notice that, okay, who created these borders, right? Who created these borders and why were they created? It was again to make sure that the black people, they don't travel, the black working class doesn't get to go wherever willy-nilly because they were needed to work in whose companies? The colonial companies, right? The colonial farms and so forth. So if we were to consider all those things, the whys of these borders, then also look at an example of, say, the European Union, where a European is free to travel to another European country, visa exempt, and they are also entitled to enter and reside in each other's countries. You know, they've that policy. Why can't we have that in Africa? And say, like, and also look at our African Union. They seem to be very, very silent. We don't know where they're carrying us as a continent. Perhaps if they were to create some policies which would benefit Africa as a whole, get to remove these borders so that people can travel, maybe, just maybe, this would work so much better for the black people and for our continent as a whole. I think that's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Princess. Thank you. Let me have okay, Prince, you can come out of the live, Princess. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, guys, let's just be quick, just closing. Everybody just saying something quick and then we close.
Okay, a quick one. Okay, guys, South Africa is a country. Most white people in South Africa, they don't come illegally. And when they do, we always keep saying this. We're not gonna keep saying this every time. They stay in affluent places where they've got money to afford. They don't stay with the poor, because the so-called xenophobic attacks happen to happen in the poor communities. If you come here poor, you're not gonna survive, right? And the other thing is this: in Europeans, it's not just open for everyone to walk in. But the most critical thing is this: the European countries are doing well economically, so they can handle that kind of pressure. I mean, where do you think the resources they've been looting in our countries were going to? They are developed. You think we're going to open our border to Zimbabwe? And here's funny: when Zimbabwe was called the basket of Africa, the agricultural basket of Africa, you guys were not talking about this open border. It's also funny how Namibians and Botswanas are not talking about open borders. You have to look at the nations that are for open borders and think about it. And you listen to Princess and you wonder why we are often told that Zimbabweans are educated. I believe the previous generation was doing better. She's really not representing Zimbabwe that way. So that's just my last word.
Thank you so much, Lozi. Slogs, your closing remarks.
All right, can I be quick, right? And also the part of the borders. If you listen to there was a speech made by the Kenyan president that the borders didn't come from us, but the people have accepted it at their work around those borders because there are systems in place around those borders that support those borders, and that cannot be easily dismantled because the system is deep rooted and it depends on those borders. So if we're about to change those borders and rearrange them based on what? Should we base them on our ethnicities, our tribes, or our, because that is one of the leading causes of turmoil and civil wars. If we look at for example the civil war that happened in Nigeria, if we look at the civil wars that happened in Ethiopia and all of those countries, those those are the examples. So it is not easy for us to rearrange these borders without actually causing conflict. So as the Kenyan president said, that it is uh, better to keep the peace and keep those borders. Maybe next time we would be able to redraw these borders and to include different people and exclude others and whatever the future holds. But right now, I don't think it is really a good idea to actually dismantle borders, because that will cause a lot of conflict, and then that conflict is unneeded in Africa, especially in Southern Africa.
Okay. Thank you so much, Slug. See you again next time, Saturday, same time, same place. Simon. Okay, let me start with Brian. I think Brian has been holding on for a long time. Then I will close with Simon. Brian, Simon, go ahead. End of you.
Okay. Oh, Zeki, thank you very much for amazing show. I think this is really needed. I think instead of fighting each other, we need to open up conversations like this, and also just to also remind my South African brothers as well that let's not just look at Zimbabweans as illegal and all those kind of things. They are our brothers and sisters. So whatever problems we are having, let's find ways to engage with them. And even those Zimbabweans who feel maybe they're being wronged by South Africans, let's put our emotions down and really look at each other. We are neighbors. Even if we can build the longest wall in Africa, it still won't separate us. We are not only neighbors, but we are also blood related. We got so if we can frame our discussions within the framework of knowing that we are family, we are having challenges as a family, and we're bringing them to the table to discuss as a family, I think we'll be able to find solutions. And also, just for me to say, I love my Zimbabwean brothers and sisters. Yes, there are some bad apples like we see, like you find everywhere. Even in South Africa, we do have bad apples. And let's just help each other to be able to identify some of those people that we know might be involved in criminal activities, to make sure that we don't taint everybody. We don't paint everybody with the same brush. Okay. Good night. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. The last one. And hello. Okay, I think we don't have Brian here. So okay, we don't have Brian here. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for the engagement. I hope we will find a solution to this problem that we are facing. And also, I hope if you're an illegal immigrant, do the right thing. Just find yourself. There's been an opening that was announced whereby if you're undocumented and you have never applied for an asylum before, you need to go and register yourself. The registration is happening online. Then you're going to be given an appointment for your interview, and then you get documented. So take this opportunity to get yourself documented, because South Africa is no longer safe. It's no longer a relaxing place if you don't have the proper papers, if you don't have the proper documentation. So this is all I can tell you, my friends. Just go and check it, find information. There's information that has been put out there for people to be documented. So just go and find that information and save yourself. And to South Africans, thank you so much for your hospitality, and thank you everyone for being here. Right now, I just need to relax a little bit. I think my head is just going. Okay. Good night, guys. Thank you.